Boom! Welcome into sportsBIT Betting Insight. Today, Pauly and Teddy Wednesday, January 25th. Big game breakdown. Golden State and Charlotte. Lakers in Portland. What's happened to the Lakers? Plus USC and UCLA. The deep dive. 5 great minutes with Teddy the BMOC. Big man on campus. 3 bet on teams. 3 bet against teams in college hoops. And the play of the day. Teddy, Monday night was what the hell happened in the NBA. Last night was what the hell happened in college. First time since January of 2012, 3 of the top 4 teams go down same night.
Yeah, and of course, note the date, January 2012. There's something about January, and it's not unusual to see top-rated teams in college basketball go down simply because they're all going to lose. You don't see undefeated teams in the modern era in that sport. So it was just one of those nights, however, when the insanity, man, if you love college basketball, last night was a lot of fun. We'll start, the sharp money on Marquette, +6 down to +5. The Golden Eagles rally from 17 down. They stole that game. Finished it on a 19-4 run. Nova, ice cold down the stretch, just 2 of 13 from the field. That's what it takes for the number 1 team to blow a 17-point lead. But it happens. Fans storming the court, always a lot of fun.
And don't forget, Marquette beat number 10 Creighton on Saturday as well. I know the Creighton without their star for the rest of the year, but they beat 2 top 10 teams in less than a week. In Kentucky, that was Tennessee's A game. They missed a ton of free throws, but Tennessee wins by 2.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, the Vols were in control of the second half of that ball game. They survived the run. What about Pitt, man? We got to talk about Pitt. We're talking college hoops from last night because Pitt lost 106-51. Okay, they took money. They were +7, bet to +4.5. What do we say? The Jamie Dixon era officially over? You can throw out all the stats. Pitt used to be a scrappy team. They play hard every game. They never quit. Last night, the Panthers quit. Louisville starters only played 98 of 204 minutes. Pitt was outscored 52-12 in the paint. That's the worst home loss since 1905. Yeah, Kevin Stallings, did you know what you were getting into when you went to Pitt? It's problematic right now for the Panthers.
Yeah, I love that picture. Yeah, I don't think he knew it. He got teed up. They kicked him out. Some boos and some cheers. A disaster for Pitt in that one. Remember, Louisville, we thought they had issues shooting. Might have been a fluke, but there was bombs away from 3 in that one. Unbelievable. Here's a bad beat. NBA. Oh, man. The Clippers, there was money on the Clippers, rightfully so. No Embiid. Everyone knew that. Blake Griffin played, though. They had a 19-point lead in the third quarter. Then all hell broke loose, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, let's give Philadelphia credit. I mean, look at the process. The comeback process. Here's the graphic. Over the last 21 and a half minutes of the game, the Clips were outscored by 30 in that contest. Nerlens Noel had a big game. 8 of 10 from the floor, 7 boards, 5 assists, 3 block shots. Who need Embiid if you got Noel playing like that? But the scary thing for the Clips, they get Griffin back, and it's not unusual to see a team let down when their star player comes back on the floor. And Griffin was okay. And Jamal Crawford hit 6 threes and scored 27 points. And J.J. Redick was hitting shots, and he had 22. And they still lost the game. The Crawford quote, "This one's more disheartening. You have to put these games away by any means. This one's on us." Are you watching the attendance figures in Philadelphia right now?
They're excited.
This team couldn't sell 10,000 tickets. And now they're getting to 18, 17,000 every night. It was a rowdy crowd at the Wells Fargo Center.
Yeah, they couldn't give them away. They tanked for 3 years. Yeah, absolutely embarrassing. You give up that many points to a team without Embiid. How about the Raptors here, Teddy? As it was nothing but Spurs money once it was announced. Nothing but Raptors money once it was announced that Kawhi would sit again.
Yeah, and this was a really significant point spread move. The Raptors were as high as +3.5 during the day. They closed -2, -2.5. They lost the game 108-106, and of course there were point spread shenanigans at the end. But the first couple of guys to the window with the no Leonard news won, and then after that, everybody who was betting that news ended up losing. Pops 2-0 straight up, and ATS on the road over the last 2 nights. And LaMarcus Aldridge, he had a pair of missed throws. He had 2 sets of free throws in the final 11 seconds. Missed 1 in each set. Norm Powell hit a bucket. Raptors end up losing by only 2. And this, again, when it comes between the opener and the closer, never a great thing for the house, although they took most of that Toronto money went into their pockets.
Horrible job by the Raptors. They're down 3 with 9 seconds. They don't have a timeout. and they lay it in to cut it to 1. Didn't make any sense. My fault here. Talked Teddy off a winner. I thought the number was strange to me. I thought Boston off the tough loss at home to Portland in a back-to-back for the Wizards. But hey, why were the Wizards? Now, money came in on them, of course, but they were +1 to start. 14 wins in a row at home. They thumped the Celtics, Teddy.
The thing that, again, 13-1 against the spread, the last 14 at home. We don't care about the straight-up wins. We care about the point spread, Mark. And this is something we've been talking about all month long. I'm mad at myself for not taking advantage of it because we've been talking about it every day. And it's one of these things, when you see these emerging trends, you got to jump them. This is one that's paid enormous dividends for those who've been following it. And, of course, we also talked about the issues for Boston defensively without Avery Bradley. The Celtics now 0-3 straight up, 0-3 against the spread without Bradley. They've allowed 118 points per game in regulation during that span, allowed 58% shooting last night. Avery Bradley won't move the needle when it comes to an impact injury that affects point spreads. Avery Bradley definitely moves the needle when it comes to Boston's defensive acumen.
Disaster. Can't defend at all, can't rebound, and they give up 123 to the Wizards. Great job there. And how about this? We talked about it on the show yesterday, Teddy, but this is from William Hill. Now, there were 8 dogs that won outright. Here's a guy at the D in Las Vegas who just put a $5 bet down. $5 on a 5-team moneyline parlay. It paid $3,600. Look at that ticket.
Yeah, for $5. Not a bad return on investment. You picked the right night to do it, obviously, with all the big dogs coming through in outright fashion. Good for you. Go out, get yourself a drink, or 2, or 3. That's worthy of some celebration.
You have a problem with the LeBron rant after they lost to the Pelicans, dropped an F-bomb, profanity-laced tirade about we're top-heavy and we have to go out and get some more players? You know, the teams behind you, LeBron, the 2 and the 3 seed, have lost 7 in a row.
I like the fact that LeBron is an intense competitor, and I think that suits his team well. Do I care if he drops a bunch of F-bombs? I mean, I don't like dropping F-bombs on air, but I'm not LeBron James. You know, LeBron can do whatever he wants. He's earned that right.
Yeah, well, they went out and got Corver, and he's talking about offense and we need a point guard. He gave up 120 points to the Pelicans without Davis. Why don't you start there? Plus, I think they have the number 1 payroll and salary in all of the association. Interesting there with LeBron going off. Up next, big game breakdown. We'll start Curry going home. The Warriors in Charlotte, and USC, UCLA, Lakers in Portland. 3 good games coming up on sportsBIT. Betting Insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Do your research before you bet. Check out our ratings guide to see which books have the best ratings and sign-up bonuses. Open up several accounts and shop for lines at SBRodds.com. Always be ahead of the game.
Back on sportsBIT, Betting Insight today. Pauly and Teddy, time for big game breakdown. As always, live odds. Sportsbookreview.com. Doubleheader on ESPN. Game number 1, Warriors taking on Charlotte. Golden State 9, 221.5 the total. It's a 5-game homestand for Charlotte. They started 3-0, but they lost by 10 to the Wizards on Monday. Homecoming, sort of, for John Wall from Raleigh, not Charlotte. He said, quote, "It's great to play at home. A lot of friends and family came out. I got a big ovation. I embrace it every time," end quote. Homecoming again for Steph Curry tonight. He had 40 points last year in the win, 116-99. Scored the final 24 Golden State points of the third quarter, and they honored his father, Dell, at halftime.
Yeah, it was Del Curry night. Not exactly the smartest thing for the home team to do in that situation. Steph, quote, "It was a cool atmosphere to play in, especially on top of my dad's ceremony. It was nice to be able to get out there at halftime and hear his speech, standing with my mom and sister and my aunts and grandma. So I can't ask for more, to play like I did and get the win on top of my dad's ceremony." Now, it's worth noting, Steph Curry had his number retired at Davidson last night. He had a real off night in Miami on Monday. 7 of 19 with 4 turnovers. I don't know if we're going to say he was distracted by the fact that he was going back home, but maybe he was in that contest. With that now in the rearview mirror, I would expect a better effort. Well, whatever. Whenever Curry goes 7 of 19 with 4 turnovers, you expect a better effort next time out. But he's going to have to work tonight. 3rd game in 4 nights for the Warriors off that loss in Miami. 3rd road game in 4 nights. And, of course, now they have to face Kemba Walker.
First meeting, Warriors were laying 12. They won 111-101 on January 4th at home. No KD, Curry and Thompson 30 apiece. The Warriors led 101-79 in the fourth. Charlotte came in through the back door, Teddy.
Yeah, and the potential exists for that again tonight. But one thing that I'm in no rush to do, bet against Golden State off a loss and bet against Steph Curry going back to North Carolina. So I guess that's two things I'm in no rush to do. For me, this is a Warriors or pass type of contest.
Yep, I'm with you on that one, but back to this game and play of the day. The second game of the doubleheader on ESPN, the late game. Lakers and Portland, live odds, sportsbookreview.com. Blazers are 10, 220 the total. Remember when we were loving Luke Walton and saying give him the coach of the year? The Lakers were 10-10. Now, they have the worst record in the Western Conference, Teddy, and what a disaster. Sunday afternoon in Dallas, the worst loss in franchise history. They lose by 49 points.
Yeah. Now, first, let's not forget the Lakers have the worst team in the Western Conference. So the fact they have the worst record is no surprise. And the fact that they were 10-10 early is a testament to how Walton had them believing early on. Now, I don't blame Walton for their failures, but this is an experienced head coach, and it's crisis time right now. It's been a disaster for them. It's and not just any team. They lost to Dallas by 49 points. It was metaphysically impossible to lose to the Mavs by 50 points. They trailed by as many as 53. They got out-rebounded by 17 versus a soft team that's dead last in the NBA in rebounding percentage. There was quit in that game. Walton's quote, "It's not about me or any coach on my staff. I don't feel disrespected. I feel angry that I know we're better than this. I know the work our guys are putting in. They should expect and deserve better results than that. I also understand you really have to learn how to play every single night. I understand as a team, when we have some success, we relax. That's our natural state." Now, let me just repeat that. When we have some success, we relax. The Lakers are 16-32. Only the Nets have a lower winning percentage. How the heck does a team relax in those situations? It's a little bit baffling.
Yes, it's ridiculous. They don't defend. They also have a lot of guys who are worried about their stats. Sometimes they think they're the Warriors, and they chuck and duck, heave and leave, and shoot a lot of threes, to borrow that line from Pete Gillen. But it's ridiculous. So many guys worried about their shots and stats, and 10-10 is a long time ago. Now 2 days off. Tough road game at Utah on Thursday. What are they made of? Will they show character? Will they bother to defend? It certainly helps that everyone's been killing them the last couple days, and the game's on national television.
Yeah, we are talking about a team that is dead last in the NBA in defensive efficiency now, and they're allowing 1.2 points, 1.20 points per 100 possessions, more than 1.2 points per 100, worse than last year's defense, I should say. And last year's defense was problematic. Brandon Ingram, here's a guy who you're supposed to have some real high expectations for. And again, you don't want to rip on a rookie, but look at this game and where it fits into NBA history. 36 minutes, he was 2 of 12 from the floor. He scored 6 points. He had 1 rebound, no assists, 3 turnovers, plus minus of minus 45. That prorates for minus 59.5 for the full game. Rookie, got to show up every single night. Obviously, Ingram didn't do that there, but in terms of a bounce back spot, well, does Portland deserve to lay? Let's start with this. Does Portland deserve to lay 10 to anybody?
No, they don't. They also don't defend. No, and also it's a first game back after a long road trip. Now, will the Lakers show character? Portland showed some character and toughness. They were on that road trip when they started 0-3 straight up in ATS, playing the 4th game in 6 nights. They won in overtime on Boston on Saturday. McCollum was huge with 35. Now 3 straight days off. They begin a 5-game homestand tonight. And if they want to make the playoffs, they got to show up here and start getting some W's to get that 8 seed.
Sure, but for Portland to start covering double-digit point spreads and start covering point spreads in general, they have to begin on the defensive end. This is a team that allowed 105.6 points per 100 last year. This year they're at 108.9. So they're like, 3.3 points per 100 worse defensively than a season ago. Damian Lillard talking about after the Celtics victory, quote, "Things get bad sometimes in an NBA season. It's a long season and we've had it pretty bad. Sometimes it just goes that way. And Coach talked about it earlier, and then it just clicks. Sometimes you've got to go through it, and it just turns and you figure it out. I think this was a great opportunity because it shows some resilience by us. We'll see if it's just going to click for Portland, and that game is something where they're going to be able to rally off of. I've got my concerns about the Blazers, and certainly not a team that I want to lay 10.5 with on the second half of that doubleheader on ESPN tonight.
Yep, should be a shootout in that one. Let's go to college now. One more, liveoddsportsbookreview.com. 8 o'clock Pacific, Fox Sports 1, UCLA against USC. The Bruins are 6.5, 172 the total. USC slapped UCLA around last year. Look at this. They were laying 2.5, beat them by 14 on the road. They were -5, beat them by 19 at home. And then here in Vegas in the Pac-12 tournament, they were only 2 on a neutral and beat them 95-71. Revenge not on the mind of Lonzo Ball, as he wasn't part of it last year and he's going to be gone. This will be his only appearance at the Galen Center. But Bruins #1 in the nation by a big margin in offensive efficiency, but they did not defend at all against Arizona Saturday.
Well, that's been their problem the last couple of games. They've allowed at least 80 points in 3 straight Pac-12 wins before Arizona shot lights out against them in the 96-85 victory at home this past weekend. And of course, we're talking about a team that's #1 in the nation by a big margin offensively. Bad defense is a problem when you're trying to cover point spreads. UCLA brings no ball pressure whatsoever. They're number 311 in the nation in percentage of turnovers forced. Steve Alford, quote, "I think we're a very good basketball team, but if we want to become great, we've got to play as unselfish defensively together as we do at the offensive end." And of course, we're talking about a team that's been beaten on the offensive glass 17 times in 21 games. Alford, quote, "That's all part of the defense. That's part of finishing. If you're not turning people over and you're getting beat on the glass, that puts strain on your defense. If we're out of position defensively, now we're not in position to rebound." So we're talking about a Bruins team that has struggled against this opponent and that is struggling on the defensive end and is struggling to get offensive rebounds or to corral all the defensive rebounds, I say, prevent their opposing teams from getting offensive rebounds. All of that is problematic against USC.
Yep, and we like Andy Enfield, and they need a big win here to help their resume. Not much on it in non-conference. They're not getting it done so far in conference play. Are those shooting woes behind them that they had issues before the Arizona State game?
I think so. I mean, again, they were shooting under 40% from the floor through the first 7 Pac-12 games. And then finally, against Arizona State on Sunday, they got going. They hit 14 three-pointers. And we're talking about a team that doesn't turn the ball over. So it just comes down to shooting. Andy Enfield, quote, "We can't shoot terribly every game for the entire season. Eventually, the law of averages has to work out." And they shot well against the Sun Devils. If they shoot well tonight, they have potential to give UCLA some real trouble.
Yeah, good late game coming up. Up next, big man on campus. College basketball segment, 5 great minutes. And then the play of the day on sportsBIT. Betting Insight today on SBRpicks.com.
That's right, the 8th annual SBR Forum Bash will be held at the breathtaking all-inclusive Hard Rock Hotel in Punta Cana on Super Bowl weekend. Join Natalie Rydstrom and the Odds Couple as they mingle with SBR pros and have fun under the sun. Stay tuned for video coverage of Bash activities, including a $5,000 poker tournament sponsored by uwager.eu. Only on SBR, your sportsbook authority since 1999.
It's deep dive time on Wednesday SportsBIT, and let's bring in a first-time guest, long-time listener, first-time caller, right? First-time guest, BMOC. Well, that's not his real name. His real name is Jeff Nadu, but everyone knows him as BMOC here at SBR. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Teddy, good to be with you. You are one of my favorite people in this business. Always good to talk to you.
Thank you. You're saying that. My clients who have been betting my college basketball this season are not saying that. I have not had a great college basketball year. That's putting it mildly. So let's bring in someone who is having some success in college hoops this year, and let's talk about some of the bet on and bet against teams for the Power 5 conferences. But first, Jeff, BMOC, who are you and why should people care about your opinion?
I think people should care because, Teddy, I've been called a walking college basketball encyclopedia. I study these teams day in and day out, 351 teams. I could probably give you an opinion on all of them. I love sports betting. I've done it for years, and I have a great way of just being able to rattle off things off the top of my head. I got a good memory, and I got to thank my family for that.
How about your success rate? Are you having a good year in college basketball, a bad year? What are you winning with and losing with so far in college hoops?
I've had a real good year in college basketball. I had a small stretch at the beginning of January where conference play started where I was a little bit hit or miss, but I've hit 11 of 15 at my website, BMOCwins.com. I'm off of a nice win last night. So, yeah, it's been a nice year so far, and I've done pretty well on my show here at SBR with the odds couple that's tracked as well. So,
yeah, I know that you and I first got introduced on a Google Hangout a couple of weeks ago. We'll be doing that, of course, every Thursday night now, 8 p.m. Pacific time. You can find all the details at SBR, or, of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Teddy_covers and at Pauly Howard. BMOC, enough yip yap. Let's get down to business right here. I asked you for the top 3 teams you can make money with and the top 3 teams you can make money betting against in Power 5 conferences. You gave me 6 teams. Let's talk about them. Top 3 to bet on. And I was a little bit surprised because the top 3 bet on teams moving forward that you gave me all have winning point spread marks already. Let's start with the Purdue Boilermakers. They've been real good. What do you think's undervalued about Purdue right now?
I think, Teddy, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And that's what I look at with all 3 of these teams. For instance, with Purdue, lately, over the last couple of years, they haven't had that great guard play that some of these other teams have. And to win in the tournament, you have to have guard play. We know they have the bigs. We know they have a great coach and Painter. They've covered numbers, but it's Carson Edwards and Dakota Mathias that have really kind of anchored them from a point spread perspective and a winning perspective. They're able to go in, not have to really. Last year against Little Rock, they struggled because they did not have a point guard that could handle some of the defense that Little Rock played in the tournament. So I think undervalued-wise with them is the fact that over the years they haven't had a great guard play. This year, I think they do. I think they have that. And I think, tonight you're going to find out a lot about them, or last night, whenever we record this, against a tough Michigan State team, because that's a team that's had their number for a while.
Yeah, of course, we're recording before the games, just before the games tip off on Tuesday for Wednesday's show, so we'll know a little bit more about Purdue after the fact, but you'd say Purdue undervalued. Now, my philosophy when it comes to college hoops for the first half of the season versus the second half of the season changes dramatically. First half of the season, who's good and who's bad. Second half of the season, who the markets are over and underreacting to. You're saying, and I don't know if this is your strategy at all, but you also think Arizona is a team that continues to offer value moving forward, even after that big upset win over UCLA this past week.
Yeah, because I think early on, Ted, I think a lot of people are still all in on Oregon and UCLA and even USC. Arizona for a long time, Teddy, has not had they've had a good offense. I think this year they have a great offense. They can hang with the likes of some of these big boys. Alonzo Trier coming back. Mark Cannon was very much an unknown coming into the season. I mean, Teddy, he's like Dirk Nowitzki 2.0. This kid's a young Dirk Nowitzki. I love it. They're well coached. They play great defense, and they're grabbing 32% of their misses. They've also been a great ATS road team. As far as the way I cap basketball quickly, Teddy, I look at trends. I look at players. I look at, is this team better than the other team? And in college, that seemed to do a great thing for me over the years, not only with football and with basketball. I think they're undervalued because I think UCLA, Oregon, those are the big boys. Not a lot of people talked about Arizona coming into the year.
And the funny thing is that strategy, that simple strategy for college basketball, is this team better than the other team? God, as you mentioned, it paid dividends. You've gotten dividends with it anyway, so far this season and in the past. The third team you mentioned is a bet on, Notre Dame, but we're a little bit short on time, so I want to move to your 3 bet against. Notre Dame's a team we talked about extensively yesterday here on sportsBIT. So let's talk about the 3 bet against teams, and 2 of them are coming from the same conference. We've got Georgetown and Creighton as a pair of bet against squads in your mind moving forward.
Yeah, Creighton's been a really good bet on, Teddy, we know, but losing Mo Watson is really destructive for this team. I mean, this guy was so imperative to their success. Teddy, 1,648 total points for Creighton this year. 630 have come from Mo Watson, and he's been involved with. That's 38% of their offense gone. He is a senior. He's the glue that gets them going. And you saw Saturday, they struggled to get stops. Big thing for them. We can say, well, they have Justin Patton. Keep in mind, last 2 games, Justin Patton has inabilities to not guard without fouling. He's been on the bench for long periods of time. I think it's going to catch up with them. It started to catch up with them the other day. They looked horrendous on the defensive end. They're a bet on for me. I just don't like them without Mo Watson.
Sure. And, of course, Tennessee, the final team on your list of bet against squads. What do you think about the Vols moving forward?
No leader. I'm not a big fan of Rick Barnes. This team has struggled to win at home. And look, Teddy, at the end of the day, they've been a wreck at times defensively. I mean, they couldn't beat Ole Miss without DeAndre Burnett. This is a team that lost to East Tennessee State. They have no leader. I've watched them play. They look disinterested at times. I don't think they're ready to compete in a bad SEC. I think they're a middling team, and I think we continue to see it with this squad week after week. They are a bet on for me going forward.
Good stuff, BMOC. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your input. How do people get a hold of you if they're interested?
You can find me on Twitter at Jeff, JFFNADU. You can also find me at BMOCwins.com. You can also find me on SPR Forum every day, Tuesdays and Thursdays on The Odds Couple. I also have a show Saturday morning where I take questions on any game you want me to talk about on Saturday morning.
Sounds like you can find them all over the place. Thanks for joining us, Jeff. Best of luck tonight and all week long. Pauly, really enjoyed that interview with BMOC, though I gotta say, I'm not the interviewer you are, man. You're a way better host than I am. And as the host, or co-host, or whatever you are, let's play the daytime. Let's see what you got.
All right, good info. See if we can make that a regular thing here on SportsBIT. Let's go betting number 513, 514. Golden State in the Charlotte over 221.5. Golden State number 1 in offensive efficiency, 117 points per game. Number 2 in pace. They're off a loss. They'll control and dictate pace in this one against Charlotte. Warriors to put up a lot of points and to go over 221.5 on ESPN. That's the play the day. Let's get a winning streak going here this week after the 4-1 last week and get back on track. Thanks for watching. Tell your friends. Thanks to BMOC. We'll talk to you Thursday on SportsBIT. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.